Hello, college esports fans, and welcome to Utah Esports exclusive interview with Coach Michael Swisher of the League of Legends program and our special guest for today. Introduce yourself.
I'm Wonko the Sane, or Garrett. I'm the substitute mid laner.
Right. Well, thank you both for being here. This is our first special live version of this broadcast. So, hi Twitch chat, hi Mom, whatever, all that fun stuff. So, we're going to have some questions for you guys. We're going to have some clips from last week's game, and well, hopefully going to learn a little bit about Collegiate League of Legends this way. That's the goal. That's sales pitch. No promises, though, and no refunds either. So.
Should be fun.
Yeah. Good time.
Ideally, should be.
We get to flame my team live. That's cool.
So absolutely should. So we do have the clips here. Would you like to flame them before or after the clips?
Let's flame them after the clips.
Okay.
Let Twitch chat revel in all the glory.
Speaking of Twitch chat, we will be taking questions from you guys to answer for this towards the end of the show. So just post them in there, and our production team will get to you. That said, let's kind of get this first clip rolling here. It's from game number 1, and well, Colorado thought they were being real smart. They got Barbecue under this Tier 1 tower, and they want to kill him.
Yeah, the biggest problem with this play is the setup is we kind of let the Rift Turtle take 2 towers top before this play. So he's not really safe under this tower in any way. And we kind of like overcommit to splitting the map and...
Hey, I know, a little messy there for a second. BBQ does die, but it ends up turning really quick once the teleports come in, and you kind of... I mean, the fact that Emphix lives there is kind of crazy.
I mean, I think the play is turned basically by the fact that Kiana wastes her R on Ornn to like peel for some reason, and then Austin just gets to land a free 3-man stun and kill everybody.
It was a pretty overzealous dive, to be honest with you. Like, Sam isn't really worth anything at this point in the game, and so I feel like they can just force him off and take the mid-tier 1, which would be way more advantageous, and they kind of just let it happen because this dive is... There's no predicate to dive here besides the fact that like they can kill him.
Yeah, there's like nothing for them to take, right? Like we just took Dragon, obviously, so there's nothing left there. Herald's down, so like what are they going to achieve realistically besides a kill and maybe just taking the turret?
Yeah, I think it's just like an overcommit and misexecution mostly.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm kind of curious. What are like the comms sounding like from Barbecue in this spot? Is he saying, I'm safe, or is he saying, I'm totally dead, can you guys make this worth? I mean...
I think they had zero idea they were in the topside jungle. I think if he knows that they're sitting in that bush, he probably backs up to mid-tier 2. The reaction to teleport was pretty instantaneous from what I remember. And the collapse was really solid. I think they made a good commitment to just collapse immediately on this play and double teleport. So it was good. They just went for it, which is kind of the biggest thing you need to do in this game is just have a plan and go for it.
Be on the same page.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Speaking of plans, our second clip was put here because I wasn't entirely sure what the plan was. Kind of both sides actually got a little where there. If you remember, we had this the inhibitor siege in mid. Well, if we want to, right here. So it starts with their Carson gets picked off. So we're like, okay, we have Baron buff, but then Barbecue kind of gets just solo kill on the top side. Inhib was the call here, and it kind of just gets a little weird from here. If you could explain this for my simple mind.
I remember that Duncan was basically like saying to just sack him. He was like, let me die, let me die, let me die. And then like they're ahead enough and Duncan's tanky enough with Double Mountain that they're able to like kind of turn this around. So this is kind of like the opposite problem where they don't make a call together and just call to turn. So it just looks really sloppy. Austin kind of just gets soloed by Elise on the backside.
He just kind of gets left.
Yeah.
Like he just...
this is the opposite problem, where we don't have communication that's like, oh, they're chasing us and we can kind of turn, so let's just everyone turn at once. And Sam had no idea that Keanu was just like sitting in the bush.
And it kind of just like turns around. I feel like Colorado sort of does the same thing there. The Keanu was all up doing their own thing. Seemed to be the idea that we wanted this Aphelios, but he's very
Yeah, it was actually interesting because I was watching this from behind Sam when he was doing this, and Aphelios actually had sight on him at the start of the play, or when he like walks into the bush, and Sam thinks he's going to drop the sight, but he has sight from someone, and I don't even know how he had it. Might have been a bug, but then he didn't target him when he got in range, and then they kind of like messed up the Jarvan E to get the sight. It was interesting.
So it was weird. And I do want to just kind of pause here for a second for the viewers at home who don't know our players on a first name basis. Sam's Barbecue here, right? Duncan's Friendly Guy Live.
Yeah, I'll try and do some of their names.
Austin is Mfix, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I don't really refer to anyone by their summoner name, except for maybe Wonka.
And Rain.
Yeah.
Although I call Rain Alec mostly. I think I'm the only one that usually gets summoner name.
Yeah. I don't know why that is.
I think it's because of Nova.
Yeah, probably.
So we just interchange.
Yeah, the problem here is like target focus, which we've had some problems with this year. Like when the Cataclysm comes down, we should be able to have the Swain ulti like being like creating a nice zone for Syndra to do damage and use her spells, but it's kind of just messy. There's no, because the call was to back up, but I think they realized that like, oh, like if we commit to this, we can win. Like the Swain ulti's up, we can go in, but it's messy.
Yeah, it kind of looked like there was a moment where like, okay, time to back up. There was another moment where kind of was, I could get the best Cataclysm of my life right now.
Yeah.
Everyone was, hey, he just got the best Cataclysm of his life, and
They're really far ahead, especially with like how they're itemizing with Double Mountain. Ornn's basically unkillable. Syndra's like pretty durable for being Syndra, and Addis just kind of like messes up here.
And Jarvan too. I think does Jarvan have stone plate? I couldn't tell if he popped stone plate.
He
in the
did
fight, but I
have
think he
Gargano
has stone
stone
plate
plate
at this
in
point
that.
too.
He
So
should.
he's also completely unkillable, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he does.
this was just
The stone plate's pretty overpowered.
Yeah, that item's really nuts.
it's a little good. Do you want your Sona support rushing it though?
No, not really.
Okay, just checking if that's changed since week 1.
Sona with Stoneplate could be a nice meme.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
That's like a good Earth play.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to be honest, I haven't played Earth in years.
I think I played it when it came out, and that's it.
What's the next clip? Where are we going?
Well, that will be game 2. I'm curious if you had any other thoughts on game 1 before we moved on.
It was mostly just we didn't end the game cleanly, which was bothersome to me. Like, we had a really good lead, and we didn't close it out well. We didn't really play around the Nocturne very well, which was kind of like one of our picks that we kind of had in the back of our repertoire. And then it got the early mid tower, got the chip damage on tier 2, took tier 2 really early, and we just kind of didn't fight around it enough, didn't get involved enough. And then later in the game, we didn't have a clean end. So that was the big thing from game 1.
I think watching it from my perspective too, it looks like we didn't snowball our lead as hard as we could have, right? Because we had a massive early lead tracking the jungle the whole time. We got both mid turrets at like 10 or 11 minutes, like ridiculous amount of time, and then just kind of slow played. Which slow playing is fine, but when you're that far ahead, especially with something snowbally like a Cinder Nocturne, you kind of just go, and usually you'll win the fight.
Like we should have dove bot a little bit more than we did. We should have like played around the Syndra Swain and used our tooling to snowball that lane a little bit more than we did.
Well, I asked because, spoiler alert for anyone who didn't watch this game. From here on, that was the one game we won. 2 more didn't go so great. So last chance for happy thoughts before we dive into game 2.
I actually think game 2 wasn't super bad. It's redeemable in a lot of ways. The other team played really poorly, to be honest with you, but we can check that out.
Clip number 3. Actually blanking on what this one was. Oh, there was, I believe, the Rift Herald shenaniganry here. There was the lane swap that happened. And then they made a play off this in mid, if I remember right.
Yeah, I mean...
No, it was top side. The Jarvan headed mid, but then because Friendly Guy was still up there, they kind of box him around here and gets a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about our composition here is we outscale really, 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 really hard. Like, all of our champions are more useful than their champions later in the game. And so all we have to do is weather the storm, get to late game, hit our Ornn items, and kind of win. And so we don't do a good job of repelling this, I don't believe. Yeah. So when we're doing this play, Austin is clearly bot side. MFX is bot side. 1v1ing the Mordekaiser with no flash, which is terrifying. But also, as you can see, Babjo, BBQ, and Adam Josh are going to like go for this flank. But Austin is basically telling his team, like, he has teleport, I don't, it's going to be a 4v5. And the way our composition works is we're actually okay with losing this. Like, our comp scales extremely, extremely, extremely well. We have all of the late game we can possibly need. Their engage will get countered by our counter engage. And all we need to do is chill.
We have way better backline access, too. Like, Akali diving into backline is so much more impactful than Pantheon, because Pantheon will just get blown up, right? He has no way to live.
Or Jarvan.
Yeah, or Jarvan, right? Akali can dive backline and then sit in Shroud for 10 seconds.
Like, if their team takes top tower and we trade for, like, a mid plate or two and just let Austin scale, we win here. But instead, we're kind of going for this 4v5 fight.
So you were all happy with this up until the moment where we flank up the river.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that they don't even need to, like, do this, really.
Yeah, they're splitting Herald Gold among, what, 4 people, too? Which is kind of, I don't know.
Like, realistically, what they need to do is they need mid-tier 1 to die to play side lanes more effectively. And the fact that they're using it top and not breaking the turret is the problem. Because if Xayah is able to come into the mid game and just clear mid and let her side laners accumulate farm and hit their core items, the other team doesn't really have any siege or any ways to dive. Trundle like prevents dives really well. You have Gangplank ulti coming down. So their usage of Herald to just force down plates and split it is objectively pretty bad.
I did have one more question about that exchange, because something we see in this clip and the next clip, the Mordekaiser really liked to drop the ult on Adam Josh's Rakan, and that kind of seemed like a recurring theme in that game. You can kind of explain what is the value of putting the Rakans in the Death Realm so consistently?
There is no value. That's a bad play, honestly.
Really?
I mean, realistically, our composition just wants to kite and stall for core items and then fight at 3 items with GP and Akali and Xayah, and like they kind of let us get there. And so if Mordekaiser ults Rakan, Rakan's probably gonna live. Like he has a dash. Like he's pretty mobile. Mordekaiser gets hit by the ulti, and then our team composition should be able to kite the rest of their composition out. Like champion for champion, we're better. So kind of like if Trundle Pillar is used well, like our comp kites there is really hard.
I think like reactively once it's not terrible early in the game, but after that point, like, you know, why not just ult the Akali or the Trundle, you know? Like
Akali's basically the target.
Exactly. You go Akali every time until she has QSS.
Well, a little weird. I thought it was curious because there seemed like there was an intention, there was an idea, and I guess I shall remain in mystery. But clip number 2, this one was a bit later. We selected this one because actually Jackie was talking to Adam Josh during Game 3, and he seemed to think that there was a way he could have played this fight such that it could have actually been game-winning. So I was kind of curious what that would have looked like. I believe this one kind of moves towards the jungle. Oh, okay. I think we're a little early on this one. Things start happening when M-Fix and MJosh, they start to push through middle lane here and get collapsed on. Where
I mean, the big points that we should highlight here are like our core itemization completions. We don't have Triforce on Gangplank yet. We don't have Gunblade on Akali yet. MFX is strong enough to fight this. But like this is a really down tempo play from us, and they're kind of like walking into a good spot for us. But like we don't have our core items done.
Especially if you look at waves too, right? Both top and bot were just coming in, so both of our side laners want to catch waves right now.
Like the big problem here is, I think the Xayah ulti goes in the wrong direction, which like having all the Xayah feathers and the choke here would have been really nice. And just quite frankly, like we should not be fighting this at all, in any way. Like this is a terrible fight selection. Our team composition does not want to fight at this point in the game. We need core items on all of our champions. I don't really know where Josh thinks that he can win this fight.
that maybe I heard him wrong, but I don't know.
I mean, it's like one of those things where you look back at it and you're like, oh, if he had saved, WR combo for an extra 3 seconds or whatever, maybe. But in the moment of the fight, you're not thinking like, all right, I'm going to save my WR for exactly this moment. You're like, oh, this guy's diving Xayah. I'm going to WR him. Like, yeah, see, like he gets a really great R off. So
I kind of see what he's going for. If he like saves his ulti for a longer amount of time. Yeah, if he has ulti out of Death Realm, we probably win this fight. But even then, it's just, there's no reason to.
And that's, like I said, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, in hindsight, it looks like that. But in the middle of the fight, he's just like, the fight's going. You're going to press your buttons on what looks like the best time.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of it for game 2, if I remember right, which I might not. I was actually in the studio for this one. My attention was a little split, but I'm pretty sure from here it was a bit snowbally in that
Yeah,
regard.
our fight selection was bad. Like, we've taken, I think at that point, we've taken 2 or 3 fights before our core item completion in lanes that, like, we can just relax. Like, we want level 11 on Akali, we want level 11 on GP, we want Fire at Will and Death's Daughter done. That takes a while. That'll be around level 16 for Gangplank-ish. Yeah.
It depends on how well he's farming,
maybe
but
13,
yeah, give or take.
Maybe
yeah.
13. And so, like, we're at a point in the game at that fight where it's like, we shouldn't be down that much gold. We should be not taking those fights.
Okay. Well, if that's it for game 2. We do have just the one clip for game 3. Anyone want to guess?
Is it the level 1?
Oops. Sorry, I've actually been... last fight of game 2, I believe, is what we're watching right now. That Ibhib got on, and this was just kind of oppressive to watch. You're looking at like, everyone's up, you should be able to do something, but they're just minions everywhere.
I mean,
honestly, these fights are, like, looking at it, like, we're down 10k gold. They have Infernal Soul, and the fight isn't even, like, that bad for us. That if you think about what it should look like if we do a better job of stalling the game out and not losing as much stuff, like, the composition wins really, really hard. We just, like, fundamentally misplayed it.
I mean, just like looking at the state of affairs in that team comp, if Nexus doesn't go down, that's kind of a one-team fight there. Try to look something 1 for 3, almost 4.
I mean, the biggest thing is the soul. Like, their comp uses soul pretty well, so kind of sucks.
soul in 3 waves of minions, right? Like, you're trying to... with the engage is fine, the fight itself is fine, but you have minions beating down the turret the whole time, so it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's basically impossible to lock down our backline if we play the fight well, given their composition, because they just don't have any access. Especially if we have QSSs on important targets like Akali, then we're fine. Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, so for realsies, game number 3, the one clip we do have, this one came a bit later in the state of affairs. Been down for quite a little bit, and there seemed to be this idea that this Drake could be taken, and Unfortunately, around the same time, Colorado decides, let's teleport to Baron.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good play by them. It's one of our weaknesses, I'll be honest. I'll put that out on the internet. Our weakness is definitely sneaking Baron, so it's something we've been working on. At this point in the game, we've kind of like fundamentally again misplayed our composition. We need to kill Karma. We need to utilize the Kiana Elise to like combo Karma and Caitlyn. Like if you look at Karma's builds, our kill combo should be pretty potent on her, and we should be able to apply pressure to that lane. We kind of lost bot lane a little bit harder than we should have, and then it kind of made this kind of play possible where we're constantly down in tempo and not able to do anything. The Ornn mid's a really big problem.
It was a really good flex, actually.
Yeah, it's, it just kind of stonewalls the Kiana quite a bit. I personally think it's not overpowered, but it's frustrating to play against. If you want to play, if you're a competitive mid laner, you should pick up Ornn because it's silly. There's not really much you can do. Most mid laners can't out-bully the Ornn. The Ornn just kind of like scales, and there's not much you can do about it.
So I'm kind of curious, if you knew they were coming at you with the Ornn mid from the get-go, does that change what the comp plan might have been?
I mean, I knew they could do it. Sam plays what he plays, and he's good at what he plays, but it has its limitations, and so we have to play better around the Ornn, and we can't play to kill mid. We have to play to kill other lanes. There were definitely opportunities for us in the early game to do so. Definitely the level 2 from Elise, if anybody else watched the game. Sam, if you want to bring that up, like, we can watch that. That was probably the biggest turning point in that game is when Elise walks into her blue buff at level 2 after clearing red and just tries, in game 3 and tries to fight Olaf. That was... Elise needs a good start, and they had a good late invade. That was super problematic for us. Once we lost all of our spells there, like our flashes and stuff, Olaf can kind of cannibalize the game. Carson kind of misplays the subsequent couple minutes. Yeah. Well, the immediate aftermath of that play he misplays. Yeah. So at least blast plants over and like engages this fight. And the biggest thing you'll see, if you're Colorado here, your bot lane pushes in our bot lane really hard because you have Caitlyn Karma. So they have priority in this instance, and they can freely rotate, and then they give Caitlyn red buff because of the kill, and our bot lane's lane is pretty much doomed at this point in the game.
I think Kiana's wave is pulling to her too, right at the start of this play, if I remember correctly, so it means that Sam doesn't have an easy rotate from mid.
Yeah. We don't have prio on either of our lanes for this, and we look to fight, and that kind of is what gets us killed. And then the subsequent play is where Duncan, Friendly Guy Live, kind of gets in the game, if you want to show that too. Because Carson doesn't play the next 30 seconds well, because he takes our wolves, which is what he should do, and then he should cross to Scuttle and check where Elise is. And if Elise isn't on Scuttle, she's probably on the blue buff. And Rick kind of just sneaks it out from under him. So he could easily punish us here by checking the right things. But Carson kind of had our number in this game.
I felt like I kind of interesting you mentioned Friendly Guy Live because on the set, I believe this is the first time we've drafted it this season. I mean, I had a pretty fantastic game on it.
Yeah, it's kind of his favorite champion, but so this is kind of where he just wants to do the Scuttle, and if he had checked blue buff, Rick would be dead for sure. And then Friendly Guy picks up a lot here.
Yeah. This play like 180s the game for a little while, which is really nice. The Kled remount's super unfortunate, but
Yeah. And like from this position, Set can kind of just lane Kingdom the Kled and make him pretty useless. So it goes well for us but we don't really do much with it. Bot lane kind of had a difficult time. They have a hard lane. I think we might need teleport from Ezreal in this instance. But this play in particular stunts Rick's early game, which is Elise clearly needs to shine in the early game. And so when this play goes awry and Rick is kind of down tempo in the jungle, it makes it really difficult for us to do anything on the map. And we need Kiana and Elise to start doing stuff and getting kills.
I mean, definitely understand with the kind of the Elise losing the momentum there. But I'm kind of curious, after this moment where it looks like Carson's been knocked off his nonsense, Addis is sent back, why doesn't this play here kind of start things back up in a more productive way?
So the problem is mostly with bot lane. Caitlyn has red buff here and teleport, and then Austin makes MFX makes a small mistake and gets punished by Karma. That kill happens
in like 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, like really soon. And so we don't have tempo on bot lane, and then they're able, because Olaf still has a lead on Elise, and Elise hasn't reset, and we have no prio bot lane. So Olaf is able to just walk in here, take Ocean, which is really impactful for their team. Because Ocean makes it so that Ornn basically never loses. He's always healthy. Caitlyn, Karma love Ocean. Yeah, that kill was pretty sick by Night Raven.
It's actually a really smart Q.
I'll give him that. I think Steven misplayed it. OMG, it's cookie time. I think he kind of misplayed it, but I got to give him credit there. That was a really cool mantra Q.
Very smart Q.
Yeah, that was. It kind of happened really fast. I mean, you saw we missed it on the stream the first time when we had one of our observers go back to grab that replay. They missed again. They were confused because they saw the Ezreal kind of back in her turret. They're like, well, where's the play supposed to happen? And it just right on the edge of it.
Like, if you think about OMG, it's cookie time, or Braum as like a linebacker, he should kind of just like walk up to him and like play defense. I guess it's more like akin to a basketball play where he just kind of needs to like walk up and be like, oh, like don't Q, like I'm just gonna eat it.
Or soccer, you always run at the striker to close the angle that they have.
So it would have been more like a forward press moment, not a zone.
Yeah,
and so like once that happened, you come into a point in the game where Olaf has total control over the map, and they can kind of just do whatever they want. Like you could swap the Caitlyn and the Karma up to top lane and freely have your way with Set, which would be a problem.
Well, some of our Twitch questions are coming in here. So I guess, what do you think is the best way to come back into a game when you have this huge gold differential?
So Riot added the bounty system, which is cool. You have to find the biggest bounty and try and kill it. That's the easiest way. That will not always be an opportunity. Clearly, that often goes on to like AD carries and mid laners who want to stay alive. Find bounties that you can claim. Set up death brushes.
Yeah.
So like Fnatic death brush. I'm like a huge fan of this. If I'm ever like filling in an in-house or something like that and we get behind, I'm just like, just push your wave, place a pink, wait for someone to come do something stupid. Everyone, like, especially in the collegiate level, people aren't unified when they clear vision. So if there's an opportunity for you to sit in a brush and just wait for someone to come face check, chances are at this level of play, someone will do it.
You can also wait for face checking is the big one too, and I see a lot of times too, especially having played more on the club level for the past couple of years. Tons of split push players will just push, like they won't think about where the other waves are or anything like that. So your waves will get all desynced, and then you'll have your really strong Ryze who's alone 1v4 at an inhib turret, and just the entire team collapses and gets a 700 gold shutdown, and then the game completely 180s.
Yeah, so that stuff's probably relevant for the people at home for their ranked games trying to improve, you'd say.
Yeah. Just be okay with losing stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think the way that people play is they get really anxious when they start losing like turrets and dragons and stuff like. I mean, when you lose Baron, that's pretty bad. But like early in the game, if you concede a turret because you're behind, chances are the other player will make some sort of mistake that you can take advantage of, and it'll be okay.
Seed intelligently.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, as you're kind of moving forward in this tournament, 4th round of Swiss, what are kind of the big takeaways, things you're hoping to learn for the next match from this game?
We still got to work on our Baron security. Probably the biggest thing I want to work on is making sure that our kill combos are converting. So we have powerful combos like Gragas Yasuo, Elise Kiana, like the Cinder Swain we showed off.
Yep.
Making sure that we utilize those aggressively, get good kills, and convert them into objectives. You know, a lot of like amateur teams struggle with the kill conversion into an objective, so they'll get kills but they won't get objectives. That's pretty. Those are the big ones. I mean, there are a lot of like really small things we like want to continue working on, but I think the big ones are making sure our kill combos are converting kills and then converting the kills into objectives.
So, on the subject of Game 2, do you know who your opponent is when that's going down?
Like this next game,
Yeah.
it's University of Denver, and we were playing them this Saturday. 5 to 6 Mountain Standard Time, has to be determined.
We just can't get out of Colorado, can we?
No.
I really like Colorado.
Yeah, I mean-
every time I've been to Colorado, it's really fun.
Pretty nice
Colorado's a
place,
great
actually.
scrim partner too.
Yeah,
Denver,
sure.
Denver maybe not so much, but
Sure, we're scrimming Boulder on Friday. Shout out to you guys.
Neat.
Hopefully you place a ward on Baron this this time. Yeah, in Game 2, they didn't. The reason why I criticized their Game 2 so heavily is we're playing like a stall composition
Yep.
that all we want to do is sit there and stall, and they literally didn't clear Baron pit for like 10 minutes. We had a ward on it for like, yeah, it was crazy. I was like, just keep going, I guess. Like, keep chugging along. This is great.
So, do you have a player of the week for last week's games? Or kind of?
I thought Duncan did great. Going into draft, it was a lot of like, we're really terrified of how they can flex their champions. We didn't have full confidence that we would be able to have good drafts if they properly flexed some of the options they had. And Duncan just came in and had an excellent day. He played well in the set game. His GP game was decent. I think he got pulled around a little by his teammates. And then in Game 1, what was the Game 1 matchup
it was
again?
Ornn versus he smashed.
Oh
Lane.
yeah, Ornn versus
yeah.
Set.
He
Yeah,
smashed Lane
and
in a counter matchup.
they clearly were like, oh god, like we can't let this guy like keep having this champion. Like we need it for ourselves or we're gonna lose. So they started putting more priority on it. He's been doing really well. It sucks for me because like I have two great top laners, both of them who have different strengths, different weaknesses, and I want to be able to get in Rain in games because he provides really interesting stuff for our team. But Duncan had a great series.
Suffering from success. So over here in the top lane.
I mean, like I have a tough time, because like I have to choose who starts and who doesn't, and in a situation like that where you have one guy who deserves to play and another guy who really, really deserves to play, it's like I feel conflicted.
A bit of a tough spot. Do you have any closing thoughts here about last week, this coming week? You want to say before we let you go?
I don't know. I'm kind of just excited,
Yeah.
We have a lot of like really, really good people on our team. Like Wonko is now on the team and he's showing a lot of promise, a lot of initiative. We're young. We got a lot of really young people, a lot of people who are new, a lot of people who are enjoying themselves. And for me, collegiate esports isn't about this trying to win the championship. It's definitely something you want to do, but at the end of the day, I don't think any of the players that we're playing against are going to go pro. I don't think many of our players are going to go pro. This is an experience for them, Right? This is a chance for them to go through tough stuff with good friends, improve, battle, take a loss like this that sucks. It feels bad, you know? Like, I was talking throughout the entire week about how important this was to me. Like, in my last season, we played Colorado against Saligo and won, and it was crazy. And, like, after the game, we were super hyped, and it's emotional. They beat us 3-0 at LAN in Salt Lake City, you know, and I put a lot of importance on this game, and we lost, and it sucks. But, you know, the show must go on. And so for our players to have 3 more weeks to improve, for our younger players to look at players who are in front of them starting, to look at them and be like, hey, let's see how they deal with this problem, this situation where they feel bad. They feel like they could have come out of that series ahead. And, you know, I like to see the growth from our players in situations that are tough.
Builds a fun rivalry too. On a slightly different topic, but you know.
Yeah. Colorado versus Utah has always been just some of the best games we get to cover in league. So, you know,
I mean,
thanks for holding those grudges. It's good for us.
The day after, Carson is like the one who like organizes their scrim. So literally the day after, he's like, "Do you guys want to scrim next Friday?" And so like, we lost. It sucks, but like we have a good scrim partner. They're good guys. You know, it sucks to lose, but they're a good team, and sometimes that happens, and you just gotta keep grinding, keep getting better, keep improving.
We'll smash them in scrims on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope we see them in the future in another competition, and we can get our revenge and have another great series. Like, they're fun to watch, they're fun to play, and they're fun to coach. It's all good stuff.
All right. Well, that is kind of all we have here for you guys. Thank you for tuning in to this exclusive interview with Wonko and Swish. Your next game is vaguely sometime-ish this Saturday. And so you can follow the program at Utah_esports on Twitter to find out exactly when that is, when that's nailed down, so you don't miss another exciting game. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.